Welcome to the news. In the news tonight, 16 people, including 6 refugees, have died on the spot in a bus collision accident along Mongolu-Lusaka Road. President Ted Galungu has called for an end to misappropriation of public funds and resources by public workers. Islamic State militants have mounted a ferocious counterattack in North Iraq, killing at least 19 people in and around the city of Kirkuk. The Football Association of Zambia Affairs has refuted online reports suggesting that the Football Association seeks to introduce gay rights to the local league. For the details, I am Dingindaba Joan Bioya. 16 people, including 6 refugees, have died on the spot in a bus collision accident along Mongolu-Lusaka Road. The accident happened around 23 hours near Namilangi area in Kauma district, while 38 others survived the horrific accident. Police Assistant Public Relations Officer Levi Lilanga told QTV News in a statement that the accident involved a Higer bus registration number ALV 9498, which had 30 passengers, and 2 bus crew on board a Mitsubishi Rosa bus registration number AAX 8562 that had 21 passengers on board, and the Toyota RAV4 registration number ALP 4038. Mr. Lilanga says the accident happened when the driver of the Higer bus was trying to overtake the RAV4, which was stationary due to a breakdown as he was coming from Senanga and heading to Lusaka. In the process, collided head-on with the Mitsubishi Rosa bus, which was coming from Lusaka heading to Mongo. He says the 15 passengers plus the driver from the Mitsubishi died on the spot, while 5 survived. It discloses that all the passengers from the Higer bus plus the driver, identified as Mangolwa Muyanga, were injured and are admitted to Kauma District Hospital, together with the 5 passengers who survived from the Mitsubishi Rosa bus, where they are receiving treatment. Mr. Langa says among the 16 that died, the following have been identified as Edwin Imbao, a soldier based in Luena Barracks in Kauma, Tanta in Kilundu, aged 26, together with a son, and Prince Mihigo, aged 6, refugees of Mayukwayuka refugee camp from Democratic Republic of Congo. The Police Assistant Public Relations Officer furthermore discloses that all the deceased are lying in Kauma District Hospital mortuary awaiting identification and post-mortem. Mr. Lilanga has since appealed to members of the public who could have their relatives traveling from Lusaka to Mongo on a Rosa bus to go and help with the identification of the bodies. Meanwhile, Road Transport and Safety Agency RTSA Head of Public Relations Frederick Mubanga says preliminary investigations conducted by the RTSA have established that the accident happened when the driver of the Higer bus was trying to avoid a stationary Toyota RAV4 vehicle, registration number ALP 4038, which had broken down. Mr. Mwanga says because of poor visibility, the Higer bus driver did not see the oncoming Toyota Costa, thereby colliding. It says further investigations have revealed that the driver of the Toyota Costa bus, Crossbin Mwita, did not have the appropriate class license to drive a public service vehicle PSV, and that the vehicle did not have a valid road tax to be on the road. It says the driver of the Higer bus, Mangolwa Luyanga, has been charged with the with a case of causing death by dangerous driving, and it states that the road transport statistics indicate that road crashes among PSVs are so prominent at night. President Ted Galungu has called for an end to misappropriation of public funds and resources, including the pilferage of medicines. President Lungu says the misapplication of public funds by controlling officers should come to an end if the country is to prosper. The head of state says there is need to inculcate discipline to all levels in society, hence the need for every Zambian to work hard so as to transform the country from poverty to prosperity. Speaking when he graced 50th anniversary of the Zambia Congress of Trade Unions ZCTU in Zambia, President Ted Galungu says the labor movement has contributed massively to the economical, social and political growth of the country. In a speech read on his behalf by Labor Minister Joyce Nonde, President Lungu has since promised support to the labor movement as it is critical to the country's growth. He has also urged the labor movement to continue with the same spirit for development to continue to flourish.
Since Zambia became an independent state in 1964, the country has continued to be a beacon of peace and tranquility, law and order, which have been essential our forefathers repeatedly echoed the need for hard work, peace, and unity. Today, I'm pleased to note that as a nation, we have endeavored to heed this call from our forefathers. This has resulted in our country registering remarkable economic growth in various sectors over the years. Zambia has also continued to be a beacon of peace in the region and Africa as a whole. Distinguished workers, ladies and gentlemen, the remarkable development in our country is attributed to the hard-working men and women of the country. Without a disciplined labor movement, we could not have achieved the levels of development we are now witnessing.
And Zambia Congress for Trade Unions President Chimbankole has urged government to come up with ideas which will improve the livelihoods of many Zambians. Mr. Ankole says it is important that government put measures that will help to reduce cost of living.
Our country, as it symbolizes the phases necessity other institutions are going through, it is going to improve the condition of work and wages for the workers in Zambia. I'm therefore proud to note that during the last 50 years of struggle for workers' rights, the ZCTU has matured into an organization whose mission and primary objective has been charged that by this role that government has changed in response to the changing demands of the national economy. And on the political front, together we have achieved a lot, including producing one of us who ascended to the highest office in this land. The ZCTU leadership, together with staff, past and present, have made extremely useful contributions to the growth of the organization and ensuring that it delivers on its mandate. We are indeed proud of this achievement. Fellow workers, the progress we have made in the last 50 years has, however, not been without challenges. Among the numerous challenges have been an assault on workers' rights by some employers, diminishing trade union membership due to loss of jobs among workers.
Meanwhile, International Labour Organization ILO representative Aeneas Chuma says his organization has recognized the critical role which trade unions play.
In Zambia, the ZCTU has over the years been a key partner and interlocutor in the consultation processes prior to the formulation of key economic and social policies that have shaped the labour market of Zambia. You played a significant leadership role, influencing outcomes to issues that have continued to affect Zambian workers, and in particular the ratification and domestication of several international labour organizations' conventions.
Vice President Nongawina this morning in Parliament stirred anger among opposition members of Parliament after accusing them of allegedly wishing President Edgar Lungu death. The accusation, which she made during her question time, was met with running commentaries asking her to withdraw the statement, after which she did and apologized for sounding too strong. The visibly annoyed opposition members of Parliament who felt offended by the accusation, however, withdrew from the chamber a few minutes before the Speaker, Patrick Matiwini, adjourned the proceedings for 15 minutes. This was after Mazabuka lawmaker Gary Nkombo challenged Ms. Wina to reconcile Tuesday's National Day of Prayers and Fasting with the impression that Finance Minister Felix Mutati in yesterday's ministerial statement gave on the status of the Zambian economy. In a response, Ms. Wina argued that Mr. Mutati was clear in his ministerial statement that the country's economy was on the right track. Ms. Wina says it is only pessimists that are thinking otherwise and allegedly praying hard that the country's economy breaks down. She states that her own suspicion, therefore, is that it is these pessimists that could also be behind the social media commentaries suggesting that President Edgar Lungu is not well.
The economy of this country is moving in the right direction. It's only the pessimists who are praying very hard. I don't know which church they pray to. To ensure that the country's economy breaks down. It's the same leaders who are wishing President Lungu dead. Mr. Speaker, if the word dead is too strong, I must apologize and it's strong. But I know some of the people who are running commentaries on the social media, and they are wishing President Lungu is not well. Wishing him because we understand, and this is what is going on in the country. And I hope this will stop, because we need to reconcile. We need to understand each other.
The 24th of October is Zambia's Independence Day, and Ugandan President Yoweri Museveni will grace Zambia's 52nd Independence Day celebrations next Monday on the 24th of October. Details to that story are coming up, but for now, we'll take a break.
Hatch your eggs the right way. Order the best and high-quality incubators today. Order today from Power Express, the distributors of Bledge incubators at very discounted prices, like a 96 capacity at only 3,000 kwacha, a 264 capacity at only 5,100 kwacha, a 528 capacity at only 7,200 kwacha, a 880 capacity at only 8,200 kwacha, a 1,056 capacity at only 11,200 kwacha. You can say Christmas came early. This is a gift from Bledge to all poultry farmers this summer breeding period. Bledge incubators, hatch your way.
Brother, there's an endless road to rediscover. Oh, the sky comes falling down. There's nothing in this world I wouldn't do. What if I'm far from home? Oh, brother, I will hear you call. There's nothing in this world I wouldn't do.
Ugandan President Yoweri Museveni will grace Zambia's 52nd Independence Day celebrations next Monday on the 24th of October 2016. Foreign Affairs Minister Harry Kalaba disclosed the development to journalists in Lusaka during a press briefing that whilst in Zambia, Mr. Museveni will hold private bilateral talks with President Edgar Lungu. And Mr. Kalaba says President Lungu has accepted an invitation to attend the international conference of the Great Lakes Region Summit. He explains that the event, which has become upon the discussion of peace and security situation in the Democratic Republic of Congo and Great Lakes region as a whole, will be held in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia on the 26th of October. And he adds that the invited nations will also discuss the status of the implementation of commitments agreed upon in the accord signed on the 24th of February 2016. Meanwhile, the Foreign Affairs Minister says his ministry is concerned with the number of returned Zambian diplomats who have not completed the process of deregistration of their vehicles. He cautions all who are still using foreign diplomatic registration for their vehicles after returning from services because they risk being prosecuted. Mr. Kalawa is advising all record diplomats to deregister their vehicles upon return. The opposition United Party for National Development UPND has dismissed concerns its preoccupation to having its August presidential election petition heard is eroding its significance to Zambia's democracy. UPND Vice President for Administration Jeffrey Walyamwamba says it is also not true that owing to this preoccupation, his party is not in a position to render credible checks and balances to government. In an interview with QFM News, Mr. Mwamba states that contrary to the raised concerns, his party is pursuing this matter of its petition not only for itself, but also for the people of Zambia. Mr. Mwamba says the UPND is aware that over 3 million people that voted for it in the August general elections would like to see this matter dealt with to its logical conclusion. He says this means that his party will stop at nothing in seeing to it that this happens and Zambians are accorded the opportunity to know what transpired. Mr. Mwamba says his party remains hopeful that its petition will be heard one day. Meanwhile, UPND Chairman for Rural Reconstruction and Development, Mono Mapani, says it is unfortunate that it has taken the international community to start speaking for the violation of human rights in Zambia. Mr. Mapani says it must worry every Zambian citizen that the Amnesty International is calling on the state to drop all charges slapped on UPND President Hakainde Hichilema and his vice Jeffrey Mwamba. Mr. Mapani, who is also a human rights lawyer, says those in authority should learn to respect the rights and freedoms of citizens. He says it will not help the nation in any way for those in authority to intimidate and harass those with opposition views. And Mr. Mapani has advised the police service to respect the rights and freedoms of the people. He says it is unacceptable for the police officers who were handling the case for Mr. Hichilema and Mr. Mwamba on the Copperbelt to insult the two leaders at will.
They might side with the patriotic front now, but they should realize that their services are important to all citizens across board, regardless of the political party affiliation. But if they want to show leadership that purely their patriotic front sergeants, then the citizens will not accept that, because they don't draw money from the patriotic front coffers. Secondly, I want as well to advise our IG, please offer in-training services to your officers. They should tone down. The citizens are not happy. Their right to freedom of expression, the right to freedom of movement, the right to freedom of association and assembly has been curtailed without actually giving reasons as to why the citizens of Zambia cannot continue enjoying their rights as enshrined in the Constitution.
Agriculture Minister Dora Siliya says Zambia is still in a deficit of 187,000 metric tons of maize of the total required strategic reserves. Ms. Siliya says this is what will be needed to push the country's strategic reserves to slightly over the national requirement of 500,000 metric tons. In a ministerial statement, Ms. Siliya has disclosed in Parliament that as of the 10th of October last week, the FRA was in possession of a total of 276,680 metric tons. Ms. Siliya states that this means that the FRA will continue in the market until the said requirement of strategic reserves is met. She notes that this also entails that the ban on export of maize will remain in force. Ms. Siliya has, however, assured the House and the nation that the country has sufficient maize for both human consumption and industrial requirements in the estimated total of 3,540,576 tons. She says this estimated maize available, which will last up to April 2017, is in fact with a surplus of 634,680 tons against a total estimated national requirement of 2,905,896 tons.
The food balance sheet, Mr. Speaker, for the period 1st May 2016 to 30th April 2017 total maize requirement is as follows. Human consumption requirements is 1,588,831 metric tons. Strategic reserve stocks 500,000 metric tons. Stock feed requirements 257,912 metric tons. Breweries requirements 115,500 metric tons. Grain retention by farmers for planting 100,000 metric tons. And then 5% estimated off-farm losses 143,653 metric tons. Informal cross-border trade 200,000 metric tons. The above mentioned estimated total requirements amount to 2,905,896 metric tons of maize. When these total maize requirements are subtracted from the total maize available, that is 3,540,576 in the 2016-2017 season, the food balance sheet indicates that the country had a maize surplus of 634,680 metric tons. The country also recorded increased production in several other key food security crops. Production of soybeans was estimated to have increased by 18.1% to 2.
Government has linked the poor safety recorded in mines in the last 2 years to low metal prices. Now, Mines Minister Christopher Eluma says government has taken note that between 2015 and 2016 there was a significant change in the accidents. That story is going to be given in detail after we shortly break off.
There are moments in our lives that live forever. Moments like witnessing the thunderous call of a natural wonder, or experiencing the roar of the wilderness as its residents come to life, and the lively slither of a river teeming with untamed wildlife. There are moments in our lives that live forever. Moments like experiencing the adrenaline rush of close encounters with nature's thrills. The exquisite indulgence of luxurious treats kissed by the radiance of the African sky. The rhythmic movement of a people in celebration, whose tranquility and peace touch the hearts of those they encounter. There are moments in our lives that live forever. Many of them begin here. Zambia, one destination, a million adventures. Zambia, let's explore.
Discover new horizons and explore new destinations. Starting this September, Rwandair will connect you to Cotton from as low as 9,980 kwacha and to Abidjan for only 8,008 kwacha. Book now and enjoy a luxurious service coupled with unparalleled comfort. For more information, please call 0950-131-061 or 0968-345-259. Email sales.lusaka@rwandair.com or visit us at rwandair.com or contact your preferred travel agents. Terms and conditions apply.
Rwandair, fly the dream of Africa.
Government has linked the poor safety recorded in mines in the last 2 years to low metal prices. Minister of Mines Christopher Aluma says government has taken note that between 2015 and 2016, when metal prices had been low, the mines recorded increased accidents compared to previous years. Mr. Aluma told Parliament in a ministerial statement today that this is a sign that mines in the country in this particular period may have been relaxing their safety rules. He notes that this is as they try to reduce their production costs. Mr. Aluma has told the House that government does not, however, find this acceptable. He has disclosed that his ministry is, to this effect, working hard to ensure that the safety records in the country's mining industry improves.
Looking at the causes of accidents in 2015 and 2016, it is evident that they can be reduced. The major causes of accidents, Mr. Speaker, include negligence by management to make safe workplaces, failure of management systems, and miners not adhering to laid down procedures. In addition, most accidents involve contractor employees. This shows that contractor employees are more susceptible to accidents due to inadequate training and experience coupled with pressure by their employers to meet contract targets. Mr. Speaker, the major causes of accidents have been rock falls, moving machineries, running over miners, ground collapse, and miners falling from heights. Some of these accidents were avoidable if both management and individual employees adhere to laid down procedures and regulations. To this effect, the ministry has started conducting periodic mine safety audits in order to identify weaknesses or gaps in safety management systems. Through these audits, the ministry is able to identify gaps and prescribe remedial measures. In addition, regulations are being reviewed to strengthen workers' rights to refuse to work in unsafe environments. The regulations will also introduce more punitive measures for erring employees and companies. Penalty fees and fines will be revised to make them deterrent. I therefore call upon the mining companies, Mr. Speaker, both large and small, to double up their efforts in ensuring safe.
Western Province Minister Richard Kapita has warned civil servants in his province against frustrating government's agenda to deliver development. Mr. Kapita says civil servants that will be found frustrating this agenda risk being dismissed for as long as he remains the provincial minister. In an interview with QTV News, Mr. Kapita says this means that all civil servants in the province must report for work and knock off on the prescribed time of the employment conditions of service. Mr. Kapita states that this is what he believes as a proponent of paying on the basis what work one puts in should be the model to follow by all civil servants. He says this is especially now when the elections are over and all that is remained is to deliver what was promised to the people of Zambia.
So for me, I've called upon the civil servants. I told you I addressed the heads of department that politics are over, campaigning is over. In any case, the civil servants should not be involved in partisan politics, because then they are compromised. For example, there will be those civil servants, and sometimes very senior civil servants, who were seen openly campaigning for the opposition. What do they say now? So we're saying, look, we're not there for retribution, but we want to ensure those who are willing to continue working should change their habits and put in 100% effort. Not coming to work at 9 hours, knocking off at 15 hours. I will not allow that. And anybody who does that knows that they will have themselves to blame, because we want to deliver the promises, to deliver on the promises that as government, as president, we made even to the House of, to this August House. What you will find is that people will say, well, we are going to change, we're going to work and then we discover that they are frustrating government efforts, frustrating government policies and programs, then certainly we'll have to part company because we want to recruit people in the civil service. So,
the Zambia Council for Social Development, ZCSD, says relevant authorities should ensure that they follow up the findings in the Auditor General's report and bring the culprits to book. ZCSD Executive Secretary Louis Mwape says the country needs to recover the resources because these resources are supported to benefit the people of Zambia. He notes that the misapplication of funds should not be allowed to continue, but that one way of ending the vice is by ensuring that those cited are made accountable and dealt with. And Mr. Mwape says as long as the Auditor General's report is not taken seriously, the levels of poverty in the country will continue to go up. And he adds that the country cannot afford to continue losing millions of money every year, citing that the money comes from the poor Zambians through various stakeholder taxes. Mr. Mwape says it is sad that people and institutions can freely use money meant for national development the way they want to use it.
But basically, when we look at the Auditor General's report, we are looking at also the livelihood and also the poverty levels in our country, and also the money that are being lost without being followed. So first thing is how do we engage the investigative wings, the police, the Drug Enforcement Commission, the Anti-Corruption Commission. What is their role if they are not able to move in the Auditor General's report to ensure that the culprits that are being reported are brought to book, they are prosecuted, so that we have these resources recovered.
We take a final break. After that, Action Aid Zambia, together with other partners, is implementing a Southern Regional Public Resource Management project aimed at improving public resource management and service delivery in agriculture and health sectors.
When you think water, think Aquamax. Aquamax, healthy drinking water, a product from Californian Beverages.
Hello, you're watching Cube Business. This time around, we are at Okadeco Office Furniture Store, Oka Trends. Here, you can get the very best of office furniture at very affordable prices. Now, these tables are executive, and I know that's definitely what's best for your office. Now, if you're looking to get yourself into the executive mood anywhere in your house, and I mean anywhere, Okadeco is definitely the place to be for you. You can get to Okadeco and get the very best of climbing material. If you're looking to get yourself a pedestal pan or maybe a tumbler holder, a paper holder, this is definitely the place to be. After a busy day at work, now the best thing that you can get home to is a luxurious bed, and this you can get at Okadeco. You can get all this at very affordable prices, and you will definitely enjoy your rest and be ready for the next day. Ladies love matching things, from matching clothes to matching curtains, but at Okadeco you can get matching curtains regardless of what color your home is, because there's a wide variety of curtains regardless of what color your home is. You can get any type of curtain at Okadeco. Okadeco, along Kafuo.
Have some Manzi, pure natural Manzi. You can have it anytime, anywhere. Hey, Manzi. Have some.
Action Aid Zambia, together with other partners, is implementing a Southern Regional Public Resource Management project aimed at improving public resource management and service delivery in agriculture and health sectors. Speaking during the launch of the project in Lusaka today, Action Aid Country Director Nalucha Ziwa says the two sectors have been targeted because they have identified to receive the highest budgetary allocation for social protection in Zambia and the world. Ms. Ziwa explains that in agriculture sector, the food component has been targeted because it is key to eradicating poverty and hunger at household levels. She says in the health sector, the project will focus on HIV and AIDS and sexual reproductive health and rights, citing that several efforts have been made aimed at improving the delivery of service in the health sector. Ms. Ziwa further states that the project has come at the right time when the country is struggling with accountability of public resources, as highlighted by the Zambia National Farmers Union Audit General Query and the 2015 Auditor General's report.
In terms of sexual reproductive health and rights, we have continued to witness inconsistencies in policy when it comes to access of sexual reproductive health and rights, especially among adolescents, such as the age of consent. In some policies it stipulates that it's 21, in other policies it's 18, in other policies it's 16. It's such inconsistencies which have hampered the service delivery of sexual reproductive health and rights programs under the Ministry of Health. Ladies and gentlemen,
stakeholders have continued to praise President Edgar Lungu's stance on not shielding anyone, cited in the latest Auditor General's report. The Zambia Youths in the Fight Against Corruption ZIAFAC is pleased by the head of state's statement to relevant authorities not to wait for him to direct them to arrest all those cited in the Auditor General's report, saying this is a sure way of fighting corruption. In a walk-in interview today, ZIAFAC Acting Executive Director Maurice Malambo says President Lungu has been inspiring confidence in the minds of Zambian people by pledging not to protect anyone found wanting. Mr. Malambo is, however, hoping that the prosecuting authorities will not abuse their powers following this statement by the head of state. He says there is need to follow the law if these cases in the country are to drastically reduce. Mr. Malambo says Zambia's little resources must be safeguarded by ensuring that all those found wanting are prosecuted accordingly.
That position also was resounded in Parliament during the official opening of Parliament. We do take note as an organization of impeccable declaration of political will by the head of state, and shortly he did indicate also the fact that there was need for law enforcement agencies, in this case the police, the Anti-Corruption Commission, the Drug Enforcement Commission, and others to move swiftly when corruption is reported. That political will is extremely good in the fight against the scourge, and that the President has indicated the fact that people must not wait for maybe the powers that be to sanction an investigation. Also, it goes to show the fact that maybe presidency at times does abuse power to the level where institutions such as the police, Drug Enforcement Commission and the Anti-Corruption Commission drag their feet, fearing for their jobs or just the wrath of political power.
To end the news bulletin, as we head into international news, let's take a look at the headlines one more time. 16 people, including 6 refugees, have died on the spot in a bus collision accident along Mongu-Lusaka Road. President Edgar Lungu has called for an end to misappropriation of public funds and resources by public workers. In international news, Islamic State militants have mounted a ferocious counterattack in North Iraq, killing at least 19 people in and around the city of Kirkuk. Officials have said the attack government buildings, killing at least 6 police officers and a power station under construction where 13 employees died. 12 Islamic State fighters also reportedly died, and fighting seems to be continuing. Government and Kurdish forces began a long-awaited operation against the Islamic State capital in Iraq, Mosul, on Monday. Mosul lies 170 kilometers to the northeast of Kirkuk, a multi-ethnic city claimed by both the Iraqi central government and the Kurds. South Africa has formally begun the process of withdrawing from the International Criminal Court (ICC), notifying the UN of its decision. South Africa did not want to execute ICC arrest warrants, which would lead to regime change, a minister said. Last year, South African court criticized the government for refusing to arrest Sudan's president, Omar al-Bashir. He is wanted by the ICC on charges of genocide and war crimes. Mr. Bashir was attending an African Union summit in Johannesburg, where the government ignored an ICC request to arrest him. He denies allegations that he committed atrocities in Sudan's troubled Western Darfur region. A flotilla of Russian warships is passing through the English Channel en route to Syria. Two British naval ships are shadowing the vessels. The Ministry of Defence say they would be man-marked every step of the way while near UK waters. A Russian tug believed to be in convoy with the task force entered the channel first off the coast near Ramsgate. EU leaders have strongly condemned Russia's involvement in bombing of Syrian city of Aleppo. The ships are within international waters, but Defence Secretary Michael Fallon said the UK would be watching as part of their steadfast commitment to keep Britain safe. And in sports news, the Football Association of Zambia FAZ has clarified misleading reports published by online media that the Football Association of Zambia seeks to introduce gay rights in the local league. Online media reports are indicating that the association has disbanded divisions 2 and 3 through adoption of the proposed revised constitution. FAZ General Secretary Ponga Liwewe in a statement says Football House recently circulated to all its members a draft copy of the FAZ constitution for the review and to make comments and suggestions. Liwewe says the draft constitution is in line with the FIFA statutes and it is these that are up for discussion. He says it is therefore the prerogative of FAZ members to agree and disagree with the statutes and to make recommendations that will be incorporated into the final document. He adds that the implication that clubs from divisions 2 and 3 are to be disbanded or relegated to lower status is untrue. Liwewe states that the proposed adjustments to the statutes will reduce the size of the electoral college to enable council meetings become more efficient and more effective decision-making. He explains that the proposal in the draft constitution is for the clubs from divisions 2 and 3 to elect representatives who will attend, speaking and represent their issues at meetings on their behalf. And the FAZ General Secretary has since assured the Football House is open to provide further information and clarification to the media on this matter and indeed any matters relating to the running of football in Zambia. That's the end of the news this evening. My name is Dingindawa Jonah Bioya. I'll be back at 22 hours. Good evening.